Welcome to part one of the Steroid game, the game where I randomly generate a cycle, review it, and offer remediations based on what we get. This first number is suggesting how many injectable compounds we're running. The first one we get is 2. Bear in mind, the first one we do will be a testosterone base. I don't care what you decaheads say, testosterone is necessary in every cycle. Okay, let's see what kind of testosterone we get. After that, we can calculate the milligram per mil and the load we're going to be getting. So we've got cypionate here at 300 milligrams per mil. Let's figure out how much of this we're taking per week. Testosterone cypionate here is a bit of a dub. I like it. It's one of the most underrated compounds we actually have available to us. But let's see how many milligrams per mil we're putting in our body. And it's 3. That's 900 milligrams per week. I messed up my last clip, but we got DHB in our role. Now, DHB is dihydroboldenone and is generally considered the new kid in the block and is very pippy. It has a bit of reputation attached to it, but let's see how many mils we're putting in our body. All right, well, DHB is not going to help you reduce your E2, unlike EQ will. So regardless of what you put in your body, this is going to require an aromatase inhibitor. I'm putting 1 mil, so that's 100 milligrams per week, which is very little, and it's going to do virtually nothing to offset the bloat we're going to get from the 900 milligrams of testosterone, which is a whole gram cycle right now, but the dosaging is way off. Let's see what kind of orals we get in the mix, and we'll go from there. Let's see how many orals we're going to be running. TikTok, let's see what we got. We are going to be running 1 oral. Okay, that's sensible considering actually how much gear we're already currently running. Hopefully we're going to be lucky because right now we need something drying because we're currently bloating up like a storm. And we have Anadrol. Blood pressure is going to go through the roof on this one and it's going to make our E2 issue even worse. So just to make things very clear, we don't actually know how Anadrol interacts with the E2 receptor or E2 hormone in general. We just know that it does stuff. The actual anadrol compound itself isn't doing any of the muscle building, it's the metabolites. And it's not well studied enough to understand what those metabolites are and what's responsible for what. What we can see is that when you already have a high E2 load, taking anadrol can exacerbate this and make it worse, causing gynecomastia and sometimes causing a big stress load that can cause increased prolactin and then get basically a lactating based gyno you normally expect from a 19 nor with a heavy progesterone influence. So currently this cycle is not looking great at all. The very last thing we need to do is figure out how many caps of Anadrol 50 we're taking for 200. Okay. So let's do a little recap. We've got testosterone at 900 milligrams per week. We have DHB at 100 milligrams per week and Anadrol at 200 milligrams per day. What kind of side effects can we expect from this? Well, one, we got high as hell testosterone, meaning our aromatase conversion is going to be off the charts and we're going to need an aromatase inhibitor. I personally prefer using aromasin for my clients. It's got less harsh effect on the lipids, it's cholesterol, which is already going to be hammered. We're already going to get dyslipidemia from steroids use. So I would prefer an aromasin on hand here. The dosing's probably going to be 25 milligrams per injection day just due to the heavy testosterone dose which is being used and the fact we've got no DHT derivative to manage the E2 burden through other interactions. The next compound being the DHB. Now DHB is a complicated one and has a lot of nuance involved, but because we're at such a low dose, I'm not going to be concerned about organ health too much from the DHB, but neither am I going to be that concerned about the drying effect. It's not going to suck anything, it's not going to counteract the heavy load from the testosterone. So regardless of the dose here, I think a telmisartan is going to be essential because you're going to be so bloated and so full of water on an intracellular level. The blood pressure is going to be insane and the pressure on the organs is going to be not pleasant. So your kidney, liver, heart are all going to suffer here. So telmisartan, probably at 40 milligrams plus a 5 milligram of bivalol, is going to be essential just to manage this factor and this part of the cycle. Now finally we have 200 milligrams of oxymethylone per day. Oxymethylone, otherwise known as NAT50, Oxy50, Anadrol. They normally come in 50 milligram tablets, hence the names, the conjugated 50 at the end of names. This is very, very liver toxic. It's hepatotoxic. Basically means that it's been methylated so it survives the first pass metabolism so it can actually be used by the body to build muscle. But, like I said, it's toxic. 200 milligrams is a heavy burden and you can't realistically run that for longer than 2 to 4 weeks before you start running into serious issues. So the name of the game for this one is going to be everything and anything you can throw at your body to help support your liver. You're looking at every antioxidant under the sun, staying very hydrated, and using things like NAC, injectable glutathione if you can get your hands on it, and Tudka, just to keep the bloody thing from working. Anadrol is also, just like with the testosterone, is going to crank up your blood pressure like a mofo. You're probably going to be sitting like 160, 170, you're going to look really bad. Your blood pressure is going to be properly hypertensive that is, and this is not going to be a healthy cycle to run at all. I'm going to call this like the blood pressure medley. You're going to be a bloat lord. There's guys in the gym where you see they're like 250 pounds, they're bold as hell, and they're just massive meat monsters. It's kind of an ode to them, I think. High testosterone, high oxys. You're going to be strong as hell on this cycle. You're going to be bloated as hell. You're going to have zero aesthetics. Your liver's probably going to crash your appetite. So you're not going to want to eat anything. I think overall, I'm probably going to give this cycle a 3 out of 10. You can't run this for long. You're not going to get an awful lot of gains. You're going to get an awful lot of health issues if you run this for any amount of time that you could consider effective. But I hope you enjoyed this first and rather elongated episode of the Steroid game. If you want to see more, comment, like, share, all that good stuff, interact with the video, let me know that you like it, and I'll see you next time, hopefully.